25 years ago?
25, yes.
25 years ago. Wow, time.
I can't wait to talk about this new thriller, Divorce in the Black, but I got to tell you, full confession, George Jones, I was supposed to be off today. I had it off in the schedule. Then I saw that you were going to be here.
You were kidding me, Robert.
And on the spot. Now, my team is mad at me because they thought they were going to have a longer weekend, but I'm happy.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. I hope it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
I better say something funny then to make you say, hello. I don't know. Hello.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm so glad you're here. Hallelujah. Yes. George is like, what is going on?
Tyler Perry's name has once again become the center of controversy, but this time, it's not because of a new movie or a studio deal. It's because of some serious and personal accusations that have started surfacing online, dragging not only his public image, but also bringing his private relationships into the spotlight, especially with his long-rumored partner and baby mama, Delilah Beale. For years, Delilah stayed in the background, never doing interviews, never posting about her relationship with Perry, and never demanding the spotlight. Their connection was always kept so low-key that most people didn't even know Tyler Perry had a child until he mentioned being a single father on Instagram. But now, with legal documents out in the open, a rising lawsuit involving allegations of misconduct, and some suspicious silence from Perry himself, people are starting to question if Delilah's quiet exit from the picture was her way of dodging a ticking time bomb. The couple's breakup had always seemed quiet. There was no drama, no public dispute, no back-and-forth statements on social media. Perry simply posted that he was 51 and single, wondering what the next chapter in his life would be. At first, people assumed the two had simply grown apart. Maybe they were too busy. Maybe their lifestyles didn't match anymore. But now that Tyler Perry is facing accusations of harassment and misconduct in a $100 million lawsuit filed by actor Derek Dixon, Delilah's silence and sudden disappearance is raising a lot more eyebrows. Some people are saying she knew this was coming, and instead of sticking around, she quietly left before the truth could ruin her life too, according to Dixon. His interactions with Perry started off professionally. He claimed that Perry reached out to him with the promise of acting, roles, mentorship, and career growth. At first, it sounded like a dream, one of the biggest names in Black Hollywood showing interest in helping a young actor rise through the ranks. But things allegedly didn't stay professional for long. Dixon says that Perry's texts and behavior quickly became personal, suggestive, and inappropriate. Some of the leaked texts show messages that no one would expect from a professional mentor. In one message, Perry allegedly wrote, "I would frack you. I haven't been touched in months." That alone had people in shock. But the lawsuit claims it didn't stop there. The text continued. More suggestive comments were made, and Perry allegedly pushed boundaries that Dixon had clearly set. And while all this was unfolding, Delilah Beale remained absolutely silent. Not one comment, not one denial, not one sign of support for her child's father. And that silence is making people talk even louder. Her refusal to defend him is being seen as quiet confirmation by many. People now believe Delilah had already seen the side of Perry and decided to leave before she got caught up in the fallout. Sources close to the situation have claimed that Delilah started noticing strange things long before the public ever did. She allegedly witnessed late-night meetings with male staff, emotional closeness with certain people, and an increasing gap forming between them. It wasn't just physical distance, it was something deeper, something emotional, and maybe even unsettling. What's even more disturbing is that Dixon claims Perry didn't stop at flirty messages. According to the lawsuit, Perry allegedly invited Dixon to his Atlanta home under the pretense of discussing a role. Things reportedly took a dark turn that night. Dixon says after having drinks and talking late into the night, he went to sleep in one of Perry's guest rooms. But what happened next shocked him. He claims he woke up to Perry touching his thighs, and when he pulled away, Perry allegedly continued sending him messages in the following days. One of the leaked messages said, "No straight man would be going on walks with you or cooking dinner for you unless they wanted to be with you? I would." Another asked, "What would it take for us to be together without guilt?" These texts were not just inappropriate, they blurred every professional line. What made it worse was the character Dixon ended up playing in Perry's show, a gay homeless man who traded favors for a place to stay. Dixon believes it wasn't just a role. He claims it was a reflection of what Perry wanted in real life. He says Perry told him directly that he needed someone loyal, submissive, and dependent on him. That's when Dixon says he realized he was in a dangerous situation, trapped between keeping his career or protecting his safety. Even after telling Perry that he was not interested, he says the messages continued. Fast forward to 2020, Dixon says he visited Perry's home one more time, hoping that things had calmed down. But instead, he claims Perry asked him directly, "Do you like it rough in bed?" and then allegedly grabbed him by the throat saying, "Look how excited you just got." Dixon says he shoved Perry off and left immediately. But according to him, it didn't end there. He claims Perry entered his guest room again, this time in just his underwear, pulled Dixon's shorts down, groped him and whispered, "Relax." Dixon says he played it smart, dodged the situation, and decided to cut ties entirely in 2024. He filed an official complaint with the EOC, quit the show, and launched a full-scale lawsuit. Perry's legal team responded by calling it a money grab, claiming Dixon was using his proximity to Perry to gain attention and financial compensation. But Perry himself, completely silent, that silence has only made people more suspicious. In fact, many believe that Delilah Beale's silence is even louder. She hasn't defended Perry, she hasn't made any statements, and she hasn't tried to help clear his name. Insiders say she's been quietly supporting the legal process from a distance and staying away from the spotlight. For someone who has a child with Perry, her lack of involvement is being taken seriously. People now believe Delilah saw all of this coming. That's why she stayed quiet for years, protected her child, and slowly distanced herself from everything related to Perry's world. Reports say Delilah has been focused on her own life, stepping into activism, modeling and raising her son, away from the chaos, while Perry continued building his empire and defending his public image. Delilah chose peace and silence, but that silence is shaking the internet right now. With all the new evidence coming out, fans are going back to analyze Perry's old Instagram post where he said he was single. Back then, it seemed harmless, even normal. Now, it feels like a quiet announcement covering up something much darker. Fans are convinced that Delilah didn't just leave, she escaped. And if Dixon's lawsuit ends up being true, then Delilah might be seen not as an ex, but as someone who made the smartest move of her life by walking away before everything crumbled. Even more strange is that people are now connecting the dots between Perry's casting choices and his alleged real-life behavior. Dixon, playing a homeless gay man who relies on others for shelter, is hitting a little too close to home for some people. It doesn't seem like coincidence anymore. It feels like a reflection of a private fantasy turned into a TV character. And this is not the first time people have questioned Perry's creative choices. Many of his characters, especially black men, are either hyper-aggressive or emasculated, leading critics to question if his storytelling is influenced by deeper personal struggles. The internet has exploded over the story. Screenshots, legal documents, and wild speculation are all over Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. Some fans are calling for Perry to be canceled immediately. Others are defending him, claiming the messages aren't criminal, just messy and overly personal. One person posted, "Seems like old man flirting, not sexual assault," but others argue that the power dynamic alone makes the situation predatory, especially since Dixon was an up-and-coming actor depending on Perry for work. Some folks online believe Perry may be struggling with his identity and using his power to explore that in ways that cross the line. Others think the entire story is fabricated to destroy a black man's reputation. But it's the evidence that has people shook text, timelines, and roles that match real-life behavior. That's why even though opinions are divided, most people agree this situation is far from over. Through it all, Delilah's quiet distance is being treated like a major clue. People believe she saw enough, heard enough, and experienced enough to make her exit without saying a word. Some insiders even claim she confronted Perry privately about things she had seen, personal messages, emotional closeness with staff, strange patterns in behavior, but he allegedly denied everything or dismissed her concerns. That emotional gap between them only grew, and eventually she stopped trying. She focused on protecting her child and her peace, quietly preparing for a life away from Perry's empire. And now that everything is public, Delilah still hasn't said a word. That silence, it's screaming. She hasn't denied anything. She hasn't tried to protect Perry's name. She hasn't even attempted to explain why they broke up. Her silence is fueling the fire, and fans are watching closely. They believe she knew what was going on, and instead of exposing it herself, she let the legal system and the internet do it for her. Now, Delilah is being seen not just as Tyler Perry's ex, but as a woman who made it out before the whole house of cards fell. As the legal battle continues and more receipts come to light, the story is only getting messier. The internet remains Divided. Some want Perry cancelled, others say he's being framed, and some are still in disbelief that any of this is real. But the one thing everyone agrees on, this isn't the end. More secrets might be coming out, more people might step forward, and Tyler Perry's carefully built image might be facing its biggest test yet. Delilah's escape from that world is no longer being seen as quiet, it's being seen as strategic. She didn't just leave, she left before it all blew up. And now, the world is finally catching up. What makes this whole situation even more unsettling is how much the public image of Tyler Perry contrasts with these serious claims. For years, Perry has been praised for his faith-based values, his charitable work, and his role as a positive black male figure in entertainment. He built a billion-dollar empire out of stories that center around healing, redemption, and spirituality. So now, seeing his name linked to inappropriate text messages, sexual misconduct, and manipulation is something a lot of people didn't expect, at least not publicly. But to those who've worked around him or followed him closely for years, this may not be as surprising as it seems. Whispers about his private life have existed for a long time. People have long debated his sexuality, his intense need for privacy, and the unusual silence around his relationships. And now, those whispers seem to be gaining volume, supported by legal claims, messages, and patterns that no longer feel like rumors. Delilah Beale's role in all of this has become even more important. Her silence isn't just about not taking sides, it's being read as a calculated decision to stay far away from the storm she knew was coming. Sources close to her say that she saw the cracks long before the public did. From Perry's increasing need for control to his relationships with male staff, that seemed too personal. Delilah allegedly tried to hold the relationship together for the sake of their son. But at some point, it became too much, the pressure of pretending everything was fine, raising a child in the middle of Hollywood chaos, and constantly avoiding questions from friends and family became unbearable. And when Dixon's experiences began to reflect some of the things she may have witnessed herself, it likely confirmed everything she feared. Insiders claim that Delilah had seen messages before, maybe not the ones from Dixon's lawsuit, but similar ones that made her uncomfortable. Some say she even found texts on Perry's phone that hinted at emotional relationships with other men. Though Perry allegedly denied any wrongdoing, still, the emotional distance between them continued to grow, and Delilah began pulling away. Quietly, slowly creating a life that wasn't tied to his brand. She didn't go public, didn't drag his name, didn't even ask for sympathy. She just disappeared. But now that Dixon has come forward and placed legal pressure on Perry's shoulders, Delilah's silence is turning into a symbol of quiet strength and, for many, quiet confirmation that she knew the truth all along. The lawsuit details are disturbing, especially for someone who has built their brand around morality and spirituality. Dixon's claims about being manipulated into accepting roles that mirrored his real-life situation raised serious questions about Perry's creative process. Was he casting people based on how vulnerable they were? Was he using his influence to blur the lines between work and personal interests? Dixon says Perry wanted someone loyal, submissive, and dependent. That description doesn't sound like a job requirement. It sounds like something much deeper, more personal, and more troubling. And if that's the energy Perry was bringing into his relationships with actors, assistants, and staff, it's no wonder Delilah wanted out. People close to her say she began noticing a change in him. Around 2018 or 2019, he was becoming more secretive, more intense, and less emotionally present. Late-night meetings were becoming more frequent. Conversations turned vague, and Perry, who once shared everything with her, began shutting down. That emotional wall told her everything she needed to know, even though they were still technically together. Delilah had already started preparing her exit plan. She focused on her child, took steps to separate her finances, and slowly distanced herself from his circle. By the time Perry posted his "I'm single" message, insiders say they had already been separated for months. Even the way Perry announced their split was suspicious. No joint statement, no explanation, just a random post saying he was single. That kind of vague breakup talk is usually a red flag, and now, with everything that's coming out, it looks even more shady. Fans began connecting the dots. They went back through interviews, old photos, red carpet appearances, or the lack of that man realized how little they actually knew about Tyler Perry's personal life. That absence of public love and connection now reads like a cover-up. People are saying it was all carefully managed, a PR relationship designed to kill rumors and sell stability. Delilah's presence in Perry's life may not have been just about love, it may have been about protecting an image That's why when Delilah didn't show up to defend him, fans were stunned, if they were still close. If the breakup was really peaceful, why didn't she at least issue a statement? Why didn't she support him? The answer, for many, is simple. She didn't want to lie. She may not have wanted to destroy him, but she wasn't about to stand next to him and pretend she hadn't seen what she saw. In a way, her silence is louder than any public statement could ever be. And while Perry's legal team has gone into full defense mode, calling Dixon a liar and an opportunist, the internet isn't buying it so easily. The messages speak for themselves. They may not be outright confessions of abuse, but they show a pattern of behavior, flirting, boundary crossing, manipulation that fans find hard to ignore. More than anything, people are questioning the power dynamic. Perry is a billionaire. Dixon was a young, hungry actor looking for a break. That imbalance alone makes every message, every invitation, and every touch highly questionable.